Hey there, my name is N.Gulbrandson. I am currently a interdisciplinary liberal arts major at CSU, and today I'm going to share with you my intellectual journey and how I ended up where I am today. I was born and raised in Colorado, and I was delivered in Boulder Community Hospital. I spent a majority of my younger youth in Westminster, Colorado, and attended Coyote Ridge Elementary School. There is nothing too notable at this stage of my life. I was very much still learning how the world worked and getting my perspective on things just as any other kid was. But in this early stage of my life, I do recall having a fascination for the artistic and creative disciplines. And among those disciplines, I was particularly interested in music. I come from a family of musicians and piano technicians. My dad still is a piano technician, just like my grandfather before him and my great-grandfather in Germany. But at this stage of my life, like I said earlier, I wasn't really interested or could recognize these kind of things quite yet. A few years go by and we end up moving to Broomfield, and I start attending Rocky Top Middle School. This is where my love for music has really started to pick up. I was very fortunate to have a very skilled and very kind music teacher that helped ignite my passion. This is where I also started to play and picked my first instrument, and my main instrument currently, which is the saxophone. On top of music, I also accelerated in other arts and applied science classes, and at this stage I could definitely tell this is something I wanted to potentially do for a career. Looking back on it now, I had a great interest in a lot of disciplines and also utilized many different types of thinking. Not only did I look at the practical side of things, but I also looked at the philosophical and abstract. The middle school environment was not my favorite, but it did give me the opportunity to explore some of the things I liked, and also gave me an environment to apply my practical and creative thinking. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back on it now, this actually was a very foundational part in my interdisciplinary pursuits. After graduating middle school, I chose among a few high schools in the area. I ended up going to Legacy because it had a really fantastic theater and band program. Now, this stage of my life is really where my intellectual growth has started, and my spark for music started to grow. The band gave me an opportunity to participate in marching band, symphonic bands, and jazz bands, as well as participate in theater. Through these groups, I got to travel and perform all over the country. I got to experience many different types of styles of music, many different types of cultures, got to meet composers, and a lot of just great people. And this was extremely influential in actually forming my personality today, as well as giving me a complete passion and love for music composition. Some of the most fondest memories I have in my life still to this day were when I was participating in the marching band. Marching band is a very funny group, and some call it strange, but it's something I particularly enjoy. It's a very physically demanding activity, as well as a very mentally demanding activity. Essentially, you memorize several hundred little dots and march in between them in tempo with music while also performing for everybody. On top of that, you have all the electrical systems and logistics that go to the actual operation of a marching band. And I still to this day think it's the coolest thing, and I would love to pursue a career in a marching band. During my later years in high school, I struggled to find a job that I enjoyed. Most of the jobs that were available were just retail or food, which I would easily get bored in and wouldn't hold the job for too long. So I started working with my family business. We have a piano service business that my grandpa started, and now that is passed down to my dad, which will be passed down to me. My great-grandfather, as I mentioned earlier, was from Germany, and he taught my grandpa everything he knows about pianos. My grandpa taught my dad everything he knows about pianos, which is now being taught to me. This is something I'm still learning today, and I do plan on integrating it into my future career. I was very fortunate to go to this high school and have such a fantastic teacher to help me along with my passion and my skills as a saxophone player and a composer. After graduation, I knew for sure I wanted to pursue music further. I enrolled at the University of Northern Colorado and wanted to begin my career as a musician and a composer. My time at the University of Northern Colorado was very brief. The students, as well as the staff, were quite rude and very cliquey, and I struggled to fit in, even inside the marching band. After being denied entry to music school 3 separate times, I went ahead and decided that enough was enough and I just wanted to start with my music career. So I went ahead and applied for CSU, and I got in. For the first couple semesters here at CSU, I was just part-time and just participated in the jazz band and marching bands. But at the same time, I was also pursuing another degree at Front Range Community College. I could already tell that CSU was a school for me. Everybody was so warm and so friendly, and the staff was just absolutely incredible. After 2 semesters, I was ready to begin my music career. I went ahead and auditioned, and then the first try I got into the music school. Shortly after, I was enrolled in lessons and started working on my music skills as well as taking theory to increase my composition knowledge. At the same time, I started to explore some of my other interests. I started to look into linguistics and sciences, and I found a major passion for forestry and forest conservation as well as the German language, and I was an active participant in the German club. Around this time is when COVID hit. I didn't want to spend full tuition money at the university for online classes, so I just went ahead and took some leave and finished my degree with audio engineering at Front Range. At this point in my intellectual career, I started to question if my major was the correct one. I felt the degree was too specific and too limiting for me. So at this point, I talked with my counselor and explained my general interest in many different disciplines, and she recommended interdisciplinary liberal arts, and that's where I am now. This is only my first semester, and I can definitely tell this is a very fun major and definitely one I want to graduate with. Music to me is the perfect example of interdisciplinary. It's just such a broad and wide discipline. It's something that can be looked at from almost any angle. That's why I'm trying to diversify my skill set every opportunity I can, like piano maintenance and rebuilding, being a musician and a composer, working with a stage, doing the engineering for marching bands and stage sound systems, as well as the music business aspect. Like I said, it's just so broad and such an incredible discipline that it needs to be approached from a lot of different angles. I would never have guessed that I would have ended up here, but I'm certainly glad that I did. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you found this interesting. Goodbye.